Hello, 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 and welcome to the next episode of Eat, Move, Win and the musings of a bullshit queenager. It's now getting to the stage where it's actually multiple bullshit queenagers, but that's okay. Today's guest, we have the very lovely Marie Jarvis, and we're going to have a very interesting chat because Marie is known as the queen of tip-top Tums. So it's going to be a really interesting chat. Hello, Marie. How are you today?
Thank you, Emma, for that introduction. Yes, I'm well. I'm very well, and my tum is tip top.
Good stuff. I love to hear it. So I think the best place to start, Marie, give us a little bit of an overview of who you are and what you do.
Okay, so Emma, I am a registered nutritional therapist, and I've been doing this for about 7 years. And what I do is I love to specialize in gut health. I just love a good gut client. I love to sort them out, and I love to see the improvement. And people come to me and they say, I've got bloating, and I fart a lot, and I have diarrhea, and constipation. And can you help me? And I'm like, yes, I can help you. So yeah, so I've been doing that for about 7 years now. And so I do have a mixture of male and female clients. So, I work with, or I work with people who even just know that gut health is important to them for one reason or other. So I'm happy to help anyone with a dodgy gut.
So what made you, so have you been in nutrition for 7 years or just been specializing in gut health for 7 years?
No, I've been in nutrition for 7 years. So I qualified 7 years ago. I came to it quite late. I used to be in IT in my youthful days as a young woman. And then I had my second child, and I just couldn't go back to IT. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this job anymore. So that's when I just took time out, and I did Open University. And while I was doing Open University, I realized that I really enjoyed science, kind of science aspect for it, because I kind of started doing a BA, and then I switched to doing a BSc. So I started doing that, but I also already had an idea that I was already into nutrition by that point, because I'd seen a nutritionist in my first 30s. I had loads and loads of issues, and I saw one in my 30s. So I decided, while doing that I would kind of do health science on Open University. And eventually I decided to study with the Institute of Optimum Nutrition in London to do the nutritional therapy. So that was a 3-year course. And that's what happened, really.
Love it. It's really interesting how many women I know in our kind of industry who have come into it later in life. And I don't mean like you're dead old or anything, but I was the same. I was in program management and went through my own journey of nutrition, and then was like, well, I'm going to get the qualifications and I'm going to teach this to other people. And it's just such a fascinating subject. I know some people are just like, oh my God, it's so dull. But when you get into it, you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like,
I know
so much, like we can control what we're putting into our bodies, which then determines how healthy we can be and how long we can live and how active we can be. And it's just, oh, that's amazing. Right. Okay. So what fascinated you about gut health? Because quite frankly, the word gut just doesn't sound that sexy. It's like, I'm going to go into gut health and I'm going to help people that are farting and get constipation. So what was it about that side of things that fascinated you and made you go, oh, do you know what? I can help these people.
I think so partly my own gut health, realizing, kind of in my 40s, my gut health was just not the best. And at the end of, with all the stress of doing the nutritional therapy course, I was so stressed at the end of it. I ended up with gastritis. So I'd already done a stool test while I was studying, and that fascinated me, doing a stool test. Oh my goodness. I was like, wow, there's all this information about what's going on inside your gut. So those kind of things kind of came together, and so I started off general in nutrition. So I was just kind of picking up clients here and there and trying to find my way. But the more like I sorted out my own gut, the more kind of gut clients I got, I was like, I just want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is it's so fascinating, so fascinating. The science is explosive in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, what we know about the gut is just incredible, and how it all ties into the rest of your health. So the more that I kind of studied it out, the more kind of continual personal development I did in that field, the more clients I saw in that area. I was just like, I just love this.
So what, like you mentioned that you've gone through your own journey with your own gut health, which is kind of a little bit hilarious that you're doing the whole nutrition piece and at the same time you're facing issues with your own gut health. What was it that made you kind of go, there's something not quite right here?
Yeah, I think so. When I had my second child, I had 6 weeks where it was just constipated, like, and the health visitor was like, eat sweet corn, and I was like, doesn't make any difference, like, right, okay.
Another tip-top advice from your health visitor.
Yeah, so I was really struggling, and then it kind of, after about 6 weeks, it eased. But then I had this, it was awful. We used to live in the West End, so when the kids were young, so I'd be on Byers Road, I'd be walking with my boy in the pram, and the next thing I'd be like, I've got to get to a toilet, and I've got to get there now. And it was awful, and this urgency to go, and it was just awful. And so then, I realized that once I'd gone, things were a lot calmer. But before, I had to be near a toilet. I couldn't leave the house before, going to the loo, because I just didn't know when this sensation was going to happen. And so, I tried different things, like probiotics, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, try peppermint tea. I was like, I hated peppermint tea. So that didn't, so that didn't really work. And, and I lived quite a while. So when I started doing the nutritional therapy and learning that I could help myself with my gut health, that a lot of the nutritional therapy was on gut health. So I was like, wow. So that's when I got a stool test done. I thought, let's see what's going on here, seeing the imbalance of gut microbes, and started kind of addressing those things. And I started seeing an improvement, because by that point, I struggled with passing, a stool that was acceptable, really. I'd either have constipation or I'd have diarrhea, I'd get bloating, I'd get wind, flatulence, farting. And it was just embarrassing. So I think that's when I really started taking it quite seriously, understanding that it wasn't just even nutrition that could change things, that could have an impact, but other things that I looked at that could have things. And actually, I resolved a lot of my gut issues, except for this one thing, the urgency to go. Now, I improved it significantly until last year, when I discovered a product, that a supplement, and I tried that, and that just changed it. That just changed it all. But the work had been done before I did this product. You can't just go, I'll take that product and it's going to resolve everything, because it's not.
It's complementary to the lifestyle,
yes,
rather than replacement.
Yeah.
That's I speak to quite a lot of women that some become clients, some don't, and they tell me about, you know, they've been diagnosed with IBS, and it's a huge I don't want to say industry, because that makes me sound quite patronizing about it, but it's this whole, you go with any form of any of the things that you talked about, constipation, flatulence, the urge to go, it gets tagged under this IBS banner. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it is a tag. So what doctors are saying is you don't have an inflammatory bowel disease. You don't have anything wrong with your gallbladder. You don't have anything wrong with your pancreas. Your stomach lining's fine. You're not suffering with Helicobacter pylori. So that they've ruled all of the things that they understand. But what they haven't ruled out is what is actually going on in the gut, you know, and that's where the gut microbiome comes into play. And they just really don't understand this aspect of the gut. And so IBS is a label that says, we don't know what's wrong with you, and your bowel is irritable, so that is the label that you have. And so then you're stuck with this label, because for everybody, IBS is different.
Yeah.
It's absolutely different. You know, some people can have bloating and others don't. Some people have food sensitivities and others don't. You know, some people have a problem with onions, and some other people have a problem with bread, you know, so everybody, it's different for everyone. And that is because of your microbiome being different. It's unique for everyone. So it imbalances in different ways for each unique person.
It's such it's hugely common, and it's hugely common, and you'll get this with your clients. That's part of what you do, is that when we start looking more in depth at their nutrition and implementing good nutritional habits, a lot of these symptoms go away. You know, they literally vanish over a course of a couple of weeks. And I just think that's absolutely incredible that, you know, I think there's a lot of lifestyle related diagnoses that are medicated needlessly. And that's a whole different topic for a whole different day, I think. But yeah, I think things like that, and there will be some individuals that need to go a little bit deeper, but simple lifestyle changes can make such a huge difference. Okay, you're talking about the gut microbiome. Explain what that is, because the audience is unlikely to know what that is.
Yeah, so the gut microbiome, so in your all the way down, even on your body, you have microbes, you know, bacteria, other types of microbes, yeast, and they also line your mouth all the way down, all the way through your gut to your anus, right? So you are covered in microbes. Now, in the bulk of your microbes in your digestive system are in the large colon, the large intestines, and they're there. So you've got a multitude of different bacterias, yeast, viruses, and they work together in order to protect your gut lining. Okay, and we need trillions and millions, but we also need a lot of variety of different ones. Okay, and there's certain ones that we need more of than others. So we have things like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, which are ones that we want a lot of, because these ones, we know that they're very beneficial to health. And you'll find these in things like yogurt, kombucha, all of these kind of fermented products that are coming out now. And so these Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, they work together to keep equilibrium, is that the right way to pronounce it, in the body, in the gut. And when you've got that healthy, thriving bacteria going on in the gut, that actually has an impact on your overall health, as we're finding out from research now. And so what we're looking to do is we're looking to feed our gut bacteria, the ones that cause us and help us to thrive, so that can keep on top of other things that can actually cause ill health.
Mm-hmm. I think I was reading some research a couple of weeks ago, and it's the connection to gut health and brain health, and how they're looking that into, looking at the link between Alzheimer's, dementia, and it's just like, it's mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So from your work with men or women, I suppose, what do you think are the key, what are most people missing out on? What are most people not doing that they should be doing that's going to help them?
Well, actually, one of the major things, what you find with gut health, it's not always all about food. Improving the diet obviously helps, but there's a lot of issue around stress. So stress has a major factor on killing off good bacteria in your gut. And so that's why, they're recognizing there's a connection between the bacteria in the gut and your brain, and the way that your brain functions. So, Emma, what was your question? Sorry.
What would be the top 3 things people are not doing or could be doing more of that's going to help improve?
Yeah. So stress being a major thing. Okay. And what we need to be looking at is what we can do to reduce the stress in our life. We live such busy, stressful lives, here, there, if you've got kids, as women, I mean, we just have so much, as much as you can have a great husband, they're not great at cleaning the house. They're not, and sometimes, they're not available to get the kids to the next available after school club or whatever. And so we're living these very stressful lives where we actually forget to just relax.
Yeah.
And so we're needing to find ways where if we have these kind of lifestyles, that we do need to sit back and say, right, okay, what can we do? So some of the things like I suggest is with my client, I always, one of the major things is getting them to breathe. People just not breathing properly. So, I usually teach them the kind of yoga one, which is big with a doctor called Dr. Andrew Weil. And so that's just kind of putting your hand on your tummy, on your chest, and doing the 4-7-8 technique. 4 in, hold for 7, breathe out. Well, it's not even breathe out, it's usually blowing out. So that's one thing that can really help with relaxing the body. It also helps stimulate the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that goes from the gut all the way to the brain. And often if you find you have, anxiety related IBS, then that often is an issue with the vagus nerve being too kind of tight, too stressed, too pulling in, so it's not functioning and working properly. So breathing is a big thing. The other thing I talk about a lot with my clients is chew your food. And it is absolutely unbelievable how many of my clients, I would say, like 9 out of 10 of every client doesn't chew their food properly.
Yep.
Yeah, and so this is always a recommendation on my, and even those ones that chew well always say, I really could do better with this. So there's reasons why we've got to chew our food well. One is the release of saliva in the mouth when we're chewing has enzyme. So an enzyme is something that helps to break down the food quicker. So it's called an enzyme called amylase, and amylase breaks down the starchy foods. And so we want to be doing that before it gets to the tummy, because we want to be breaking our food down because we want to give the digestive system less work to do. So if we're not chewing properly, we will not get that amylase through the food to help break down. And the other thing is, what it also does, it helps to stimulate the stomach acid. So what I find with a lot of my clients is the reason they have gut issues is because they have low stomach acid at the time of digestion, and therefore the food lies in the stomach for too long, and that can cause things like burping, indigestion, acid reflux. But also what it does is it stops the food being broken down properly. So when it goes into the small intestines, the food isn't broken down properly, and that over time can cause different issues, and it can also affect the balance in the microbiome, which will then lead to things like constipation, diarrhea, urgency to go, bloating, wind, food insensitivities. So yeah. That was 2 things.
I was doing a group coaching session with some clients last night, and the topic was around slowing down your eating and chewing it and learning to actually sit and enjoy food rather than just wolfing it down. Because, culturally, societally, we're all predisposed now to just inhale our food, and we look at it more from look, let's start dialing into hunger signals and satisfied signals and stuffed signals, and actually recognizing when you have had enough, and you can only do that if you slow it down. So yeah, that's something we were working on last night. It's always a fun one. Always a fun one. Right. So what was your third thing?
I would say if you need to work on your gut health, it's really good to try and avoid snacking. And the reason for that is you need to give time between each meal for the food to be digested and for the digestive system to be reset. And it's especially good as well overnight to have a good length of fasting, at least 12 hours, if not more. And what that does is we have something called, I always forget the full name for it. They're called MMCs, motor migrating complex. That's what they're called. And what they do, they're a bit like, if you're, it's like, if you think about a carpet, you hoover your carpet and you get the bits up, but then you go, actually, my carpet needs a deep clean. So your MMCs are like a deep clean of the digestive system. So it helps to clear that down. It helps to get rid of the garbage, and it helps to reset the digestive system ready for the next day. So by having that long break in overnight, so kind of stop eating, kind of at least 2 hours, if not more, before you go to bed, and then not eating until a reasonable time the next morning helps.
Cool. Love it. Some fab tips there. Okay, so Marie, if people wanted to know more about gut health, how do they get in touch with you, or do you have any information that they can download that will help?
Yeah, so my website's a good place to go because it's just Marie Jarvis Nutrition.co.uk. So very easy to find if you just type my name in, or even if you just type nutritionist Glasgow, you'll find me very quickly. I'm up there. And what you'll find on there, if you go into services and you scroll down, you'll find a 7-day access to a 7-day gut plan that you can use to help you. There's information there as well. So there's lots of, so when you click on, you get a document says 7 ways to improve your digestive health without changing your diet. So some of them we've just talked about. So you've got that, and then within there it says click here for my free 7-day diet plan, which is all about the gut, and it gives you more information on gut health.
Cool. I'll attach the link to that in the show notes so people can download that directly. That's perfect.
And the other big place is my Facebook group, Tip Top Tums.
The Queen of Tip Top Tums.
The Queen of Tip Top Tums, if you want to live with me there.
I love it. So good. And that's not just for women, is it, that group? That's for...
Yeah, that's for anyone, but it's mainly women that I get in there. And, you know, and women who, because you got as well, you know, for weight loss as well, it is important. So I do get a lot of women in there who are looking for tips on losing weight and stuff. And I do deal with that. But the biggest issue, for me, it's always about how do we feed our gut bacteria? How do we look after our digestive system? You know, and then the results from that could be, you know, weight loss and things. But mainly I focus on looking after your gut.
Cool. All righty. So thank you so much. That was really interesting. I think people will take a lot from that, and hopefully will download your 7 things plan. So if you do want to get a hold of Marie, you'll find the links that you need in the show notes. And just finally, a huge thank you to Marie for joining us today. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome, Emma. I enjoyed that.